Hey everyone, this is John over at Lead Capture IO. It's Thursday morning, September 5th, and I'm just walking through some of the recent updates and enhancements to the Lead Capture IO platform within our last sprint. So, as a quick recap for those of you who don't know, we recently rebranded from Get Lead Forms to Lead Capture IO, and as part of that rebrand, we did a ton of UI enhancements, and this also included new features like a whole new high-level dashboard, and just doing things like this loom bar in the way I'm trying to remove. And we did things like we brought the My Lead section front and center. I'm not going to click on that because I don't want to expose PII of various leads that have come in through this account. And then we're going to be doing a lot of work around lead verification. I'll actually talk more about what's coming next towards the end of the video. But for this video, for at least the first half of this video, let's just focus on some of the recent enhancements. Now, before I get into that, the other thing I'll just note is we operate in sprints. So typically a sprint is either weekly or bi-weekly. This allows us to rapidly release updates. So we typically won't do like a huge update that takes months and months and months. We'll tend to release feature updates in quick sprints, again, that are 1 to 2 weeks. We're kind of moving to a 2-week sprint now. So you'll tend to see us kind of rapidly update things like this in about a 2-week sprint cycle. So a lot of these updates right now, again, are focused on cleaning up and enhancing the current system. We had released the new UI, and there were a bunch of things we still needed to clean up and add in. And then once we get through this stuff, I'll talk about what comes next. A lot of exciting things to come. So if we just look at the high-level dashboard here, this is where you see like your top-level metrics, like your total lead forms, total leads, form views, and we had this weird, it was kind of, I mean, it wasn't a big deal, but it was like a UX quirk where if you had anything that was 1,000 or above, there wasn't a comma, and it was driving me absolutely insane. So we made sure that commas are all now in the counts. So if you have 1,000 leads, if you have 10,000, if you have 1,000,000 leads, you'll see the commas, and it's just easier to kind of like make sense of with a quick glance. The next thing we did was we made a ton of improvements around the graph here. So this graph represents total leads captured by month. So it's kind of cool how you can now just drill in from a high level. If you remember before, we didn't even have this from like a high level, but then if you drilled into each form, it was like these ugly pie charts. It made absolutely no sense. So now we've replaced all that with these nice graphs. You can drill in by month, but we had to do some cleanup around just like some context and what this means. So you'll see it's lead captured by month, but we also show you all of your leads captured year to date going back to the beginning of the year. So we just cleaned up some of the copy around this and did some coding to make this make more sense. Next, let's go to the top 5 forms by most leads. So when we launched this new dashboard, I actually have to cough, so I'm going to pause so I don't cough into your ear. Okay, I'm back. So when we launched the new dashboard, we had this section called top 5 forms. And then I even found myself wondering, wait, what's top 5 forms again? Is it top 5 by most viewed, by leads? And just to make this more clear, we added some context here. So you'll see it's top 5 forms by most leads. So the idea is you can look at this little panel here and see your top 5 forms by what lead capture forms are producing the most leads for you. Then you can drill down into your form view and see the list of all of your lead forms. Outside of that, there were a couple of additional enhancements to the dashboard, but nothing that I really want to go into right now, just small things. The bigger thing as part of this sprint release is the lead form. So let's just click into the lead form view. Now, there are still some updates that we need to make to this, but one of the big pieces of feedback that we got is with the new UI, it's great, it's amazing, way better, it looks nicer, but it's really hard to get a glance of how all of the forms are performing from a high level. So what we did is we added in this new column called form metrics. And the idea here is now you can go into your lead forms and you can simply scroll down, and you'll see I have lots of zeros because there's tons of different test forms that I've created over the years, but you'll see you can kind of come down this column and see a list of all of your lead forms, your lead capture forms, and the metrics associated with each at a high level. So this is really helpful if you're just running a ton of different lead capture forms across various landing pages, funnels, clients, and so on. So you'll see the total views, leads, and conversion rates. So let me see if I can find an actual domain here. It's not all like test and dummy forms. This is one of the issues of working out of one of my like test accounts. Okay, so here we go. So this Thumbtack lead magnet form has 776 views, 7 leads, and then you'll see we have, for whatever reason, we are expressing the conversion rate as a decimal. This needs to be a percentage, and it's during this time frame, so this will update based on the date here. So if we look at this OTP request form, 65 views, 19 leads, about a 29% conversion rate is what that would come out to. So this is really helpful just to get a high-level view. And then if you click into it, I'm not going to click into it because I don't want to expose personal information of actual people who've submitted this form. I don't know how to blur things out yet. Got to get a little better with Loom. But if you were to click into it, you could then see those high-level metrics and drill down a bit more. So I'd say for this sprint, this was like a big feature that we needed to add in, and this is where a lot of the focus went. And there's going to be some cleanup here as far as just like the way this is laid out and then expressing the conversion rate as a percentage, because it's kind of hard to make sense of with a quick glance when it's expressed as a decimal. That was just a miss on my side when giving the requirements to the development team. So Beyond that, there were additional updates made to the form builder to make a couple of things with the form builder more snappy, like faster. And then there were like some things within the forms themselves that we fixed. There was like this weird bug with the date filter as far as the validation went. We fixed that. And let me pause and just look at what else. Oh, and then if you're white labeling the platform, so there's the ability to completely white label it with your own branding and all that. Some things broke on that side when we did the big update to the UI. All that is now fixed as well. So we've made a lot of progress in getting through and fixing most of the issues and enhancing things. There's a couple of additional things that we're working on, but we're getting closer now to being to the point where we can then begin to focus more on some really cool things. So the first thing is going to be lead verification. So pretty soon you're going to see a self-serve lead verification credit portal come out where you can come in and just buy your own credits, track them, and all that type of stuff. Then you're going to see an analytics section for lead verification, and you'll be able to see how many verification requests were sent and how many people successfully verified. You'll get charts and then a list of verified leads and all that type of stuff. So that'll be really cool. And we're going to be working on that soon. So there's kind of like two phases to that update. And then in addition to that, email verification will probably come towards the later part of the year. But before we kind of focus on email verification, we're going to focus on the lead form builder. So let me pause this and go into the lead form. Okay, so I'm going to go into this lead form, and just to highlight now, I'm inside of the lead form, and you'll see that the UI is like completely new, way better than before. But if we go into this form now, we have our lead form builder, and there's kind of like two updates that we need to make to this. The first is around improving the UX UI just to make it easier to use the form. So the thing that drives me crazy personally is you can't just click into the form to make an update or change something. So we're soon going to have the ability to click right into the form where, like, if you want to change the copy, you can click in here and change the copy without having to jump into the left-hand side panel or into the step to change the copy. And then we're going to continue to make updates to allow you to easily just make changes to the form by clicking right into it, kind of like the way you would do it in a landing page. I don't quite know if we're going to go in the direction of building a drag and drop builder and like completely redesigning it. That is a possibility, but that might come even later. I think there's just a lot of cleanup that we can do with our current form builder to get it to an even better place. So that's coming. And then the second part of this is going to be adding in a lot of table stakes features that I feel we really need. So, for example, adding more flexibility as far as adding in like your own custom fields. That's been something that people have requested. So like that's one of the things, adding in transitions. So one of the highly requested features is when you go from one step to the next, some people want a loading animation to show up that says like, we're calculating your results or something like that. Or please wait like a few minutes while we analyze your results. So that will come. We'll have something like that baked in at some point, and then we'll also have probably like logic jumps, the ability to add in a logic jump from like a form field, like someone enters a zip code, and then you can logic jump them to a different step. And then a bunch of other kind of like table stakes features that I feel we need as far as customizing the design of the form. That's going to be a big thing. Progress bars, updating the design of progress bars. So we're going to do a really big sprint where we just kind of go through, take all the feedback that we've been getting and optimize the form builder and optimize the forms as well and bake in a lot of these features. So if you have any feature requests that you've sent me, I probably have it logged somewhere and we're going to be taking a look at that. But if anything comes to mind, just let me know and we'll bake that in. Then once we get through those three things, so the first thing is the lead verification. Second thing is the form builder UX, UI, making it easier to edit the form. The third big thing is a lot of the core table stakes features. Once we get through all of that, we'll then be shifting our focus around to some really cool new features, email verification being one of the core things that we have. So we have phone verification, but point of capture, email verification in real time right in the forms is on my radar. It's coming soon. And then more really cool updates to follow behind that. So that's kind of the state of things. I kind of went a little off on a tangent. I wanted to cover just the core updates, but then I realized it probably would make sense to talk about a little bit of what's coming in the near future and where we're focused. We still have a lot of work to do, but I think things are headed in the right direction. If anybody has any questions or feedback or thoughts, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to hear from all of you. Thank you so much.